My name is Jessica, and I will be guiding you through this training using a MakeyMakey in your classroom. Creating your own makerspace is not so difficult with this tool. It seems like a game to students, and their creative options are next to limitless. Later in the presentation, I will talk more about the STEAM and cross-curricular ideas, as well as specific North Carolina objectives in music and science that can be met with this tool. First, let's discuss what you will be able to do following today's training. Number one, how you will be able to approach learning objectives in the North Carolina science and music curriculums in a different and creative way. Number two, how to actually set up and use a MakeyMakey. And number three, how to assist students in using the MakeyMakey. I'm sure you're wondering, what on earth is a MakeyMakey? At its most simple definition, it is an invention kit that allows the user to turn almost any object into a controller of sorts using a set of alligator clips, connecting wires, and USB input into your computer. You attach the alligator clip to the object, attach the other end to the MakeyMakey, and USB connection. Your computer then recognizes the object as a keyboard or mouse. This connection can be as simple or as complex as you are willing to work through and as time allows. In this example, we will turn citrus fruits into a piano of sorts, making a musical circuit. Jay Silver and Eric Rosenbaum, both PhD, who work with the MIT Media Lab, came up with the idea and started a project on Kickstarter. They want students to create, invent, and imagine. This tool aligns with the STEM or STEAM philosophy, encouraging students to use computational thinking while creating and inventing. Most of you are aware of a trend in education known as STEM, which stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. In addition to that acronym, A, standing for Arts, adds another access point into the STEM world that incorporates and reaches more teachers and learners. Creating a lab with MakeyMakeys can be an independent activity in any class or content area. It can also be a great collaborative project to do with other colleagues and disciplines. For example, a 6th grade music teacher helping students learn how to compose music and a 6th grade science teacher wanting to reinforce the understanding of sound waves can team up and co-create an activity for their students. The specific objectives met with this activity are shown here in the North Carolina 6th grade science and music curriculums, respectively. Done independently, science students will understand not only how sound waves work, but will also be introduced to conductivity of materials, an objective they will explore in depth in later grades. Music students will learn about note combinations and which note is which based on how it looks. For example, the orange slice is the note C on the staff. This not only helps with the objective listed, but also ties in with musical notation objectives not shown on the screen. First, we need to talk about what comes in your MakeyMakey kit. We have the tin for storage, the actual MakeyMakey circuit board, 7 alligator clips to attach to the things that you're going to use as controllers, 6 white wires, a USB cable to attach to your computer, stickers to attach to the items you're using, in our case citrus fruits, and very easy to read instructions on how to get started. So what I'm going to show you right now is how we are starting our initial creation of the tones on a piano. Within the MakeyMakey website, there are guides for different projects. So I looked up one that had a reference to a piano, and as I scroll down, I see a link to a piano app. So I open that up, and what I can see is that the different arrow keys are different tones. So the left arrow key on my MakeyMakey board sounds like a C. The up arrow is a D. The right arrow is an E. The down arrow is an F. and the space is a G. So it gives me 5 different tones to work with to be able to compose music. What I'll show you next is how to make fruit those different tones. So next, what I'm going to show you how to do is to set up your citrus fruit piano and to be able to help your students set up their pianos as well. What I've done is I have cut oranges, lemons, and limes in half because they sit nicely and don't roll away. You can use the whole fruit, it doesn't have to be cut in half. One thing that you want to make your students aware of is any item like this that they're using, it cannot be touching the other item because that will continue the circuit and it may not work right. So that's a troubleshooting thing for kids that I try to make them aware of. So you have your grounded wire to earth right here that you're going to have to touch in order for these circuits to work. So if I want this orange half to be C on the piano, I take one of my alligator clips, and what I've done is I've actually sliced little X's in the fruit to make it easier to install the alligator clips. So you clip one end there, and as you see on the computer screen, the left arrow on the MakeyMakey board is the C. So I'm gonna attach that clip to the left arrow on the board. And then you have to make contact with your point right here. And our orange should now become a piano. So let's use our remaining alligator clips to attach the other notes. Again, I sliced kind of an X-shaped hole in the fruit just to make it easier to connect. I would recommend doing that yourself and not giving a child a knife. That would be a bad choice. And we want this orange to be D. So I'm gonna put it on the up arrow on the board here. And let's check and make sure our orange works. So now we have 2 notes. Let's go for the note E on the piano. Take another one of my alligator clips and find the hole I sliced in the fruit. Maybe. There we go. And then it shows on the app here that the right hand arrow is our note E. So we clip it on our Makey board, and let's check. So now we have 3 notes, so we can play almost any pop song ever invented, or the famous hot cross buns. Now let's connect our F, which you can see here is the down arrow on the board. One end to the lime, one end to the down arrow, and we're getting a pretty full board now. Let's check it. Always make sure that you're holding the grounded clip to complete the circuit. And now, last but not least, our G, which on the MakeyMakey board is the button right there, the round wood that says space. So one end in the lime, one end, oops, on the space. And I've arranged the fruit in a linear pattern, which helps music students understand note direction and that some sounds are higher and some sounds are lower. Oh, yikes. Oh, you see the 2 limes are touching each other, so when I touch one of them, it plays both of the notes, the F and the G together. and play chords as far as your hands can reach. And if you want to be able to play more notes, the app in MakeyMakey only gives you 5 to work with, which for most students is plenty. But you can actually code a program in Scratch here that's free through the website. And you can, let's get back to it. You can have in the video that is in this slide, my student did 6 different notes. So if you want to have, for example, the first 6 notes that a beginning band student would learn, you could code a program or have students do it. This is the fastest way to get to playing a fruit piano or any other item piano. I've seen it done with Play-Doh as well. You can connect one into the Play-Doh and one into the board. So you could really do it with just about any object that you have available, and I think sometimes the sillier the better with the students. So this is the quick and easy setup way to be able to do this with your students if you're limited on time with the activity. If you want to extend it further, you can look into the Scratch programming, especially if you have students who are really interested in that. Now what I think is important is to show educators, and you could show your students this as well, what the MakeyMakey website has to offer for everyone. You go to MakeyMakey.com and you land here at the home page, which obviously just sort of gives a short description about things that you can do with the product. And you can read a little bit about it, and there's 2 different kits available. The kit that I have is the one that is $49.95. I bought the single kit. There is a STEM pack, so if you have a grant or if you have classroom budget money, that would probably be something that would save you some money, and that way more students could be involved at once. There is a tab for educators, and I visited the resources tab to see what they have available. You can download these guides that are very helpful. Apparently there's even professional development to become a MakeyMakey educator, workshops upcoming, some that are close to us even. And I went ahead and created an account because I thought that I would probably be using it. And within your user account, and you can see I'm logged in right here. Here's my dashboard. There are guides, and you can hover over to see what you're going to learn based on a guide. And there's so many different things, and I like how they have arranged here at the top different categories for lessons. So you can see there is every single subject that a student would study in K through 12, and it's also arranged by grade level, which I find helpful because I teach level 6 through 8. I think some of the ELA projects are really interesting. I've been looking through some of the computational thinking ones as well, and of course music, because that's what I teach. So I like to see what they are doing in the music land here. I think this is the one I'm going to try next, the piano chair, which seems interesting. I'm sure my students would be entertained by that. And you have a gallery that you can look through that shows a lot of different videos. And what I've noticed about this gallery is it is multilingual, so people from all over post videos on how-tos. So I also looked down here at the very bottom of the screen to find the apps that you can use. The one that we use today in this training is the piano app. And you can do another different piano here. You can play Tetris. There's all kinds of fun things that the kids can do. And there is a link to Scratch, which is the program for coding through MIT for kids. So I've been watching some tutorials on how to work with Scratch, and I think my students would be really interested to code their own music product. And there's so many options as far as what you can do. I have the app GarageBand, which is what I would most likely work with to make these pianos. That's a fun musical app that allows people to create music using a variety of sounds within the app. So that's a brief tour of the website. All the resources on here are completely free, which is nice, especially if you are a budget-concerned educator like most of us are. Okay, so what you can see here is I've moved away from my citrus fruits, and I decided to try something different to show everyone that you can use basically any object you have laying around to make this circuit board. I have a variety of brass mouthpieces because I'm a music teacher and they're laying around. And what we're going to do is go through the apps that are available on the MakeyMakey website so that you can see what you have available here. And again, it's all for free. So we've already used our piano app. That's the one that we used with the fruit a few minutes ago. And then you can see we're going to have to troubleshoot a little bit here because of the wires connecting. One thing is causing multiple things to play. So I was looking through these apps and I found one that was really neat that allows me to play with an actual chamber musician. It's called Chamber Music Piano. So essentially what's going on here is he's playing on a loop, and my mouthpieces are attached to some of the keys on the piano so I can play along with him. And that just keeps looping, and you can create any melody you want over top of what he's playing. And what I think is neat is that all of the notes that it matches on the piano and this accompaniment part that he wrote, anything you touch is going to sound good with what he's playing. So that, for me as a music teacher, would help my students understand how music can be composed and how certain notes sound better than others in certain situations. The next app that we're going to look at is kind of a silly one that I think all of the children would really enjoy. And it is a sampling keyboard that has a variety of, as you can see, different sounds. And silly sounds too. That I think students will really enjoy kind of messing around with. Another app that we can use are the bongos. So kids always like drums. This would probably be a good one in the elementary music classroom since they're working on simple types of percussion within their curriculum. Onward towards more of the, I guess, science, engineering side of things. You can engineer these things to be game controllers, which is kind of fun. So right now I'm playing Tetris with brass mouthpieces. And we'll get out of that. And go back into the apps again. Maybe not that one. And you can see there's a whole variety of different ones that you can play with, which is really neat. And that would maybe give you some variety in your project making. So you could say, go to this page, choose the app that you want to use, and make something with it. So that's another way to use this setup here. I wanted to make you guys aware of the lesson plans that already have objectives listed through the MakeyMakey website. An example is I went to the homepage, click the Educators tab, and go to Resources. And I have the educator guide, but I actually downloaded the sample lesson plans. And the first one that comes up is a math lesson about word problems. And you can see it says at the top, appropriate for ages 9 to 14. So that would be late elementary, early middle. And very clear, easy to understand lesson objectives, as well as the Common Core standards that this lesson will address, which will save time in lesson planning. They also list science standards, what materials you're going to need to implement the lesson, and then a guide. So it looks like on the first day of multiple days, students are going to do this for a step-by-step process. So we have a lesson plan that lasts for several days and has a step-by-step guide. I would recommend as an educator going through the guide yourself first and actually going through and doing all of these click sequences so that you can troubleshoot yourself before you have a classroom full of kids and they may have an issue and you need to know how to solve it. To kind of summarize what we've been talking about with STEAM or STEM and the MakeyMakey and creating lesson plans for your class, I wanted to make everyone aware of the tie-ins with K through 12 education especially. There's been a lot of popularity surrounding what are called maker spaces, where students are using not just computers but objects to create, design, and invent things. So all over the MakeyMakey website, you see references to engineering, computational thinking, problem solving, inventing, creating, and some of the tags that appear at the bottom of the pages include the word makerspace. So these activities require students to problem solve while they're creating. And based on the resource of the MakeyMakey website especially, you can incorporate all 5 letters of STEAM: science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. There are lesson plans in all of those disciplines available. It's cross-curricular. You can use it independently in your class, or you can combine with a colleague. And let's say a 6th grade science teacher and I wanted to collaborate on a lesson plan to use with our students, we could certainly do that. And that way, it also allows the students to see connections across content areas, which is a lacking component right now in K through 12 education in my personal experience. Some possible problems with implementation might include the fact that it is a little bit pricey, especially if you're going to have enough for your entire class to use. So just one kit is $49.95. And that gives you everything that you need to be able to create with it. And the education pack is $699.95. So if you have grant funds available, or like my school has Title I funds available, I would be able to use that to purchase kits for my classroom. There is software that you can use. There's apps within the MakeyMakey website, but nothing requires a download. All you need is a computer of any operating system and internet connection to be able to use the resource of the website. I find that this project works best if there are 4 or less students in a group. That allows them each enough hands-on time, although you could probably have larger groups, but then again, not every student would get to equally experience hands-on time. In summary, I'd like to remind you of the materials that are going to be required for you to create using the MakeyMakey. You're going to need a computer, the MakeyMakey kit, objects to use as circuits. The ones that I used in this presentation were citrus fruit and brass mouthpieces, and internet access to be able to use the resource of the MakeyMakey website. I hope that this will be a fun implementation in the K through 12 classroom. I know that as an adult, I enjoy playing with it and learning with it, so I think it can suit learners of all ages, and it is a fun lesson plan to create and definitely to implement, and I think that the students retain a lot more of the information when they are creating, and I hope that you'll find it helpful to use in your classroom. Of course, there are credits and sources and people that I would like to thank. The websites that I accessed to make this presentation were a huge resource for me, and you can see them listed there. And I also had some human assistance as well that I wanted to thank. And of course, I would like to thank all of you for watching and hopefully learning through this training video.